Is it wrong to pick up a girl in a dungeon? Yes. Yes, it is. She's been in a dungeon. What's wrong with you? I mean, for God's sakes, you don't know what she's been through, and then you show up to just take advantage of her, just to flirt with her, when she just thinks you're there to save her, and you're this good guy? Fuck you. Anyways, enough of that later. Cue title scene. Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon is a 2015 fantasy adventure anime that asks the ever so important question, is it wrong to give a show a stupid title just because you know it will get it a lot of attention? But enough on that. Basically, this show is, for those of you who haven't noticed, it was kind of the big hype anime lately. It was the one everyone was watching, everyone was talking about. And I think it was that for one reason. Actually, make that two reasons. But that's not important. Actually, it kind of is. That's why we're doing this review. But we will start off with my opinion and then get into the rest of that later. And basically, my opinion is it's good. It's nothing terrible. Some people were like, it's the best anime this season. Other people were like, it's the worst anime this season. I'm like, it's decent, it's fine for what it is. But let's start off with the plot. Basically, in every fantasy world ever, the gods up in heaven decide to live amongst us humans. Why they would do that is well beyond me, but they do it. And so here they are, and basically they come here and they create these groups called familias with people who work for them, us humans. They turn them into warriors, they give them magical powers, and the magical warriors then proceed to go into this giant network of caves called a dungeon and fight monsters. Why do they do this? What do they get out of this? They either don't say, or if they did, it wasn't really made a good focus. But essentially, the series picks up with the lowest underdog guild of them all, the goddess Hestia. She, for those of you who don't know, is a virgin goddess of hearth and architecture and domesticity. I've just got this in front of me in front of Wikipedia, but basically that is what she does in ancient mythology. They get her pretty close in this. Here she's got a lolly's head, a big woman's body, and she mostly just lusts after her only warrior, Belle. Belle is our 14-year-old likable protagonist who, during one of his adventures into the dungeons, is almost killed by a CGI Minotaur, which is really inconsistent because there's not a lot of CGI in this, and is about to be killed until he is saved by the very beautiful and probably most blandest design in the show, Ice something or other. She's got a long name, and she's not in nearly enough of it to be that relevant. And afterwards, Belle, of all things, decides he has a crush on her. And he wants to get stronger and become a bigger warrior to do that. And essentially, the show just follows his adventures. And that's kind of what's got a lot of people unhappy about it. A lot of people say, oh, it's too simple. Or some people say Belle's kind of a douche because all he just wants is, you know, a woman, all that stuff. Honestly, I thought that was fine. Plot-wise, this is a very simple show. It's not a very complicated show, and it's not trying to be. And you know what? Every now and again, that's good. In a time period where everything is trying to be the next big thing and prove how smart it is and how advanced it is and how cutting edge it is, it was nice to see something like this, which was okay with just being fun. And a lot of this show is, in fact, very fun. The animation is very crisp and clean. The CGI, even though when it does show up, it kind of took me out of it, it's not throughout the whole series. It doesn't take up a lot of it. And for the most part, I liked Belle. I liked Hestia. I didn't dislike anyone in this. A lot of people hate Hestia, and I can understand why you could. I mean, Hestia doesn't have a lot of interactions with the other characters in this, and most of her basic dialogue comes down to her lusting after Belle. Why she doesn't just walk into the room naked is beyond me. People dislike Belle because they say he's too simple, and like I said, because he's just lusting after a girl, but I was fine with it. The show wasn't trying to be anything complicated, so having simple characters complemented things very well. And they are very likable. Belle is made out to be this very likable underdog. He's trying to get stronger, but he's not just whining about it. You see him go out, and you see him train, and you see him get stronger. And that's very fun to watch in this. And you see that Hestia does legitimately care about him. It's not just making him into her boy toy. So you kind of respect that as well. And the other characters in this are pretty likable. when they get screen time. And that brings us to, in my opinion, this show's biggest problem. It had no sense of time management. For example, see this guy! He looks cool. He's in the opening, he's in the ending, he's in all the advertisements. Doesn't show up till the last 4 episodes, and then he's just there as a member of the team. Like I said, the ice girl he falls in love with really doesn't get enough screen time to be interesting. They try and rectify it when she does show up, but it's just too late. And the problem is most of your time, like if you've probably heard about this show, is dedicated to fan service. And yeah, it's a problem in this, namely from Hestia. Because they make her breasts so damn big, but they make the rest of her just look and seem very childish, and she talks very childish, which is fine. I have no problem with this. But the problem is when you assign that amount of fan service to that character and you plaster her all over the place, you end up just wasting a lot of time. So the show feels a lot of times like a waste of time, and because of this, more interesting characters really don't get the time they need, and you can't really respect Hestia because you're just seeing her as this thing for you to flap to. The only character who gets enough time dedicated to her is this little cat girl named Lily, and even she kind of just disappears and becomes background towards the end. So I really felt that the series didn't have a lot of control of where it was going, and it really pisses me off that it ends on a cliffhanger. Well, sort of ends on a cliffhanger. We don't know what the main plot is. We don't even know the main villain's name. We get a nice little twist, but all in all, I gotta say, this series really didn't impress me that much. It's not terrible. I didn't think it was bad, and I had a fun time with it. But for what it was being hyped as, I was expecting something either super awesome or super awful, and I think the worst thing you can say about the show is it just doesn't leave that much of an impact. It's enjoyable, yes, but will I remember this in a few weeks? Not really. But I will be fair and judge the show for what it is, because Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon is a 7 out of 10 on the fantasy scale. It's a fun little show. Check it out. Don't give in to the hype and think it's some sort of message on lollies or fan service or how thanks to it all of anime gets ruined. It kind of is. But it is what it is, and enjoy it. But what did you think? In the comment section below, give me your thought on this anime, any anime you liked from this past season, and what you think of too much fan service and lollies in anime. And as always, click to like and click to subscribe, because I actually have the spoiler for this one up, and we'll get that to you tomorrow.